Okay, so Facebook has undergone a name change.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an actual name change of Facebook because that is, what would really mean something. But no, what they did was they basically created a new mother company.
Kind
And
of like Google is now Alphabet.
exactly like that. Exactly like that. And it means literally nothing. They just created their own master account, essentially. Don't blame me. I just work for, and what's the name of this new one? It is Meta.
Meta. Its corporate name is now Mega, with Facebook being just one of the subsidiaries with Instagram and WhatsApp and whatever else they've decided to buy. And
it's, and again, completely meaningless. But I see what they're doing. They've created a Meta, and underneath Meta is
the Metaverse.
The Metaverse. It is the Metaverse. Oh,
isn't it?
Well, no, that's literally what Zuckerberg.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
So he's trying to build his own.
Ultimately, this sounds like it's a 20, 30, 40-year odyssey or whatever to basically get us right back to Second Life.
Second Life or Ready Player One,
Yeah. Or Free Guy to some extent, I guess. I just saw that one recently. That was really good.
You're right. And again, I'll share my thoughts on this. I think Zuckerberg is so disconnected from humanity in a sense. In the actual struggles and emotions and feelings of people. He's kind of not, and I don't mean that in an arch way. I don't mean it. He's incapable of. I don't want to say that he's, and I'll say it like this.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that Mark Zuckerberg is immoral. I think he is amoral.
Okay.
I honestly think he's not really concerned with the emotional impact that Facebook has had on people, and giving a voice to specific viewpoints that are not, I'd say, going beyond freedom of speech and into hate speech, and the denigration and attacking of others on a platform that he could control. I think that his not wanting to take responsibility for something until it blows up shows that he doesn't really care unless it's impacting him, which is something an amoral person would do. I don't see an empathy in what he's been doing with Facebook. I see more of a mission statement, because, and again, that's my take.
So I mean, off the cuff, I'll say, I guess, I don't know, maybe two things to that. One, I think anybody who's been a billionaire, or who is a billionaire, or who has been a billionaire as long as he has been, is just quite simply no longer going to be able to comprehend not being able to put dinner on the table. I don't say that good is a good thing or a bad thing. It just is a statement. Just like there's no way to comprehend the struggle of living paycheck to paycheck or underwater or any of that when you're a billionaire. Just end of story.
Yeah, that's not in your
it's not
process. Yeah.
No, it's not in your thought process, not even something you can comprehend anymore. And again, neither good nor bad, just a statement of fact. I mean,
And I'm with you 100%. Yeah.
Two, I think, and maybe I'll give him more credit here than others may, or that may actually be, or than others might. But if you're going to accept the premise that he created Facebook, and he created it to connect people and to try and just know who was who, and create relationships and connections and networks, and basically bridge the physical distance between people digitally. To be honest, this really isn't a leap. This feels like an evolution of that original concept. I think he probably saw Second Life at the time and laughed at it. And now he's at the point where you know, I think there has to be some level, or there may be some level of understanding that, yes, Facebook has a duty to prevent false information and trying to police the kinds of malicious actors that we've seen run rampant lately. But I think to some extent he's trying to get past that responsibility to a point where everybody has their own responsibility, and that can't happen on a platform like Facebook. But on a fully realized, individually participating in live action kind of, essentially Ready Player One or Free Guy type world, that whole kind of metaverse that he's looking to create it allows him to evolve the concept to a point where, look, if I'm controlling my avatar and I'm spouting nonsense, and you're controlling your avatar and you're spouting nonsense, or you're fighting my nonsense, or what, ultimately, that's not that platform's responsibility. We are two live people doing it. And I am, at this point in time with my limited information, willing to give him the credit that that's where he wants to try and get to, because I don't think he thinks Facebook can really do it. But of course, he can't say that Facebook can't police the stuff that they can't police, because the sheer volume of Facebook, let alone having $1 billion, is incomprehensible. How many people and how many pieces of data and how many people are making how many posts per day? And look, your algorithms and your stuff can get as good as they get, but from the get-go, how many articles and white papers have we read about technology being biased because the people who write it are biased, or technology being flawed because it can't understand human nuance, or it's not, real language kind of adept to the level that it needs to be to stamp out these things. You can't hire enough people physically to police Facebook in order to review everything that's going on.
You would have to have a one-to-one, monitoring to watch what everybody's doing.
You'd have to hire the entire populations of India and China.
Yeah.
To even have a shot. I mean, it's not realistic. It's not a thing. Yes, it's still their responsibility the way the technology is designed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is one more step to distance himself and the kind of company that he wants to really create, and the kind of technology he wants to really create, from Facebook, which has gotten him to the point to be able to do this, so that it can evolve into where he really wants to go.
I can see that. And I can definitely see where in the broad scope of connection and communication and being able to facilitate that, again, you're basically saying, hey, wouldn't you like a drink of water? Well, now I own all the plumbing. So yeah, mm-hmm. He's first, and he will create a metaverse
mm-hmm.
where we can engage and connect all on his terms, which again sounds very Dr. Evil-y, but I want to go back.
But we've already accepted his terms with the 3 billion of us that are on Facebook.
Oh, yeah,
and how many billion of us that use WhatsApp as literally a lifeline to, school, technology, communication, etc. I remember First Life or Second Life. I remember First Life too. I remember Second Life very fondly. I would literally fly around different worlds and teleport to where a podcast was going on at the time and sit in the audience and watch the podcast happen. Not really at all, but it gave me the I don't know, that dream of what could be, even, God, what was this, 10, 15 years ago at least? Maybe even more.
Isn't Fortnite kind of close to that as well?
I don't actually know. I'm not familiar with Fortnite. I've heard the term, but I'm not familiar with it.
Well, and again, I'm way past my prime for any realistic video gaming, because my brain's turned to mush at this age. But the kids that are playing Fortnite, it's obviously a more of a shooter game, but it's kind of like an open world shooting game, and I mean that in the respect that a lot of our entertainers have started doing like concerts inside the video game, and all the players would just coalesce there.
And yeah, that would be very, very similar.
Yeah. Here's one thing that did not go over too well. I remember they had I think it was on Martin Luther King Jr.'s, I think the observed holiday. They had like a memorial wall, and again, you're having something that's very solemn and reverent.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty walking up, looking at the wall, or some of the what are those little characters that it was really popular 4 months ago. They have a mask and they have like almost no features, and there's like it's like somebody's a secret, and there it's like somebody's it's like who's the wolf, but in a video game form. Oh, I can't, and I know the internet's going to kill me for this. They're going to drag me all over Twitter.
Internet's nice. It's okay.
Yeah, they're changing it to caring. Yeah,
yes, caring and compassion.
Yeah, they're calling it caring.com. But you know what? It's going to kill me. It'll come back.
Okay.
But it's basically where there's a group of people, and one of them is really the enemy.
Hmm.
The whole thing's a meme. It's literally like a spaceman with no features and just legs.
Sorry.
Oh, if we were only 20 years younger, it would be
only.
right there. It would be right there.
Only.
Is it imposter? Is it imposter? I think it's imposter.
Okay. We'll go with it until something else comes up.
Yes. All right. So
yeah.
I will say this, and again, I don't like, and I want to be very clear what I think Zuckerberg, and I completely am on page with you in regards to his bigger mission and the idea. I'm a big fan of ideas and just trying to achieve it. But I'm going to say two things. One, I think he's doing the Jurassic Park thing where he's so busy worrying about if he could do it, he never stopped to think whether he should do it. I'll just say that because I like that quote.
There's a lot of technology that's doing that, but yeah.
And oh yeah, exactly. It's, we'll build it now and figure it out later. I mean, that's kind of our way. But I will go back to the algorithm because obviously that's something that's in the news and that's a big subject of Facebook and some of their well, let's just say problems right now with the government and having issues with them. And I think the government in their engagement of Facebook is misstating what is actually going on. I think that Facebook, because they're saying that the algorithm is intentionally fostering hatred for profit. I would disagree. I would say that the algorithm does not care the actual emotion behind it. I think they're trying to assign emotion to something that has no emotion. I think it's literally just engagement. Now, the fact that we are more motivated and engaged by controversy, horror, the fact that we are a species that does stop at the car wreck, as opposed to, stopping when we see ducks on the side of the road.
Right.
It's looking at the eye time. It's looking at the duration of views. It's not saying, well, this is really ugly stuff, let me feed it to them. It doesn't see it as good or bad. It just sees it as content that generates longer view time, and the longer view time, the more ad revenue. So it's basically a test of, if I show you a picture of a rubber ducky and then I show you a picture of a house on fire, you're going to probably look at the house on fire a little longer. Yeah. And that's all it does. It says, oh, you like house fires. I'm just going to give you everything that's in that. It doesn't see one as being destructive or one as being constructive. It just says, Logan likes house fires. There's your clip for the internet.
Yeah. There's the quote.
That's the quote.
Great.
But so that's my 2 cents. And ironically, I think Zuckerberg operates on the exact same level where he's not seeing, the construction or destruction of something. He's just seeing the end result. So if his end result is I want to build a platform in which people connect, bringing them together, I think is, just a phrase. I think he wants to basically design his new version of the telecom, where we're all connected together, but it's not because he wants us to love one another. It's just because he wants to do it, and he will profit heavily from something like that. When I saw, because and for those out there, this podcast comes out on the day that he released a speech on Facebook announcing the Meta name change. And Logan, I want your thoughts on that, because when I saw it, my eyes almost rolled out of my darn head, because it was such a. Of course, it's scripted. Don't get me wrong.
Well, sure.
But it to me, it didn't even convey a real thing, because it was just this whole thing about bringing people together. And I'm doing my Mark Zuckerberg voice and Zuckerberg voice. Sorry, and the whole thing is about making people connect and bringing people together. Yeah, I get that, but it just seems I didn't see any emotion or compassion in that. It was more like he just kept saying the same thing in different ways through the entire thing. And this is how we're going to bring people together. I was like, yeah, but it's what's the overall benefit to society? Because, me talking to somebody who thinks I'm less of a human being, I don't see the benefit in that. How about, we communicate things to people that make them better people? Because me just talking to somebody else who's as flawed as I am, I don't see the upside of that.
Right.
And again, that's my 2.5 cents.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of these speeches, they would tend to be served much better if a speechwriter wrote them, or maybe a scriptwriter wrote them. Ultimately, these are stories. These are the conceptual threads of something that doesn't yet exist, that they're trying to convey to people who are looking for tangible understanding. What better than to take a speculative fiction writer or a script writer and to try and have them write it in such a way that can appeal and make sense to the masses. And I don't think businesses take advantage of that kind of skill set often enough. It wasn't. I mean, yeah, there were definitely some things and some gates there they're lacking. I think part of it too is, even if he had some bigger, grander ideals, let's say, non-physical nation states, or creating, affinity groups as digital countries or entities or things, even if there was some greater, plan or thing like that, creating an entirely new economy in an entirely new digital world, so that the Facebook's cryptocurrency or something is the currency of this new meta land. And now you've got digital nation states, even if that was where he really wanted to go, because that's the kind of, perpetual motion machine that will, basically fund his great-grandchildren into trillionairehood.
They'll have to make up a new number. That's
there will be one day. It's just going to get like something else. Even if those were some of the thoughts of where he wanted to go with it, now's not the time to put that kind of stuff out anyway. So in some ways, you can get away with being just as bland as all the other businesses, even if you have greater ideas, because one, if something happens and you don't reach them, then you didn't actually fail because you never put it out there. And two, you got to play those cards and, your future plans closer to the vest, probably, or else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he is in a place where it's not like somebody's going to catch him and surpass him. If they do, he'll just buy them and crush them. I would, and I hear you 100%. And I want to be clear. I am definitely pro technology and pro forward progress and all that. But I think that I'm definitely, the cynic in me is still in the Jurassic Park mindset where we can do these amazing things. What are the potential benefits to humanity?
Oh, we're well past the point where we're creating things that we can comprehend the effect they're going to have on us.
Right. It's very
well past that point.
Yeah,
That we are off the rails and hovering, and we didn't realize we were in a hover train.
exactly. We're building the boat as it's launching, and
Yeah.
I get that, and I definitely see the benefits of Facebook. And don't get me wrong. I mean, we're broadcasting on Facebook right now, so it can't be all bad because we're there. That's my logic. And
It's how I keep in touch with the vast majority of people I keep in touch with.
absolutely, it's a great communication device.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is I remember there's a skit from College Humor, and it's ironic because it's a parody of why podcasts fail. But one of the things he said, one of the characters said was,
Mm-hmm.
well, why can't it just be that? Why does it have to be so much more? And he goes, yeah, and I think what I'm getting to is, yes, if I have a page, and I'm going back to the MySpace days, if I have a page with pictures of my kittens and baby Yodas, and my favorite list of hip hop songs,
Sure.
and you have your top 5 Babylon 5 episodes, and and I can go to your page and say, hey, I like this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about this. Cool. But the algorithm, which again, I understand it wants to feed you things that you may be interested in, but and I don't think it's self-aware. And I'm not
It's
going
not Skynet yet.
It's not Skynet. It's not HAL 2000, but it is driven off of triggers. It's basically a triggerism, if that's a thing. I just named it copyright.
It's a really complex if-then statement. Yes.
Yeah, it's and the whole premise of whatever there. What's funny is there was a psychological test they used to have for the military, and I don't know if they do it anymore. I don't know if it was even done in a large scale, but I remember hearing about it where they would show certain images to a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And it would I think it was to determine, their psychological profile, and it would show them pictures of disturbing things and wholesome things and yada, yada, yada. And what they'd say is when you see something that you like, you hit the button. And they would cycle through all these pictures, and the soldier would hit see a kitten, he'd hit the button. He'd see a house fire, and he wouldn't hit the button. And then, no, I'm sorry, and forgive me, I'm telling you the story slightly off. They give them a red button and a green button. The green button means you like it. The red button means you don't like it. And they would show them all these pictures of different things, and you'd hit the green button if you like something, red button if you didn't, and they'd show them all these juxtaposed images of wonderful, wholesome, horrific things. And at the end, they'd give you a score. And there's one guy who did it, and he would only hit the button when he saw kittens and fields of flowers and cloudy skies and or nuclear families and all the wholesome things that make America so gosh darn awesome. And at the end, they said, "Oh no, we're not hiring you." And he goes, "Why? I pressed the button on all the good things." And they said, "Yeah, we weren't tracking the buttons you pressed. We were tracking how long you were looking at the images." And he was looking at the house fires and the the all the negative things. He was looking at it longer, even though he was pressing the button, saying he didn't like it, but his eyes would linger on it. And that's all Facebook is it's basically screen time. What are you looking at more? And I'm not saying that Facebook is a place for sociopaths, but have you been on Facebook lately? I'm just putting it out there. That's my observation. A real quick take. But anyway, so this is a thing. We're now in the
metaverse is coming.
Now, and again, not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but yeah, so they will be venturing into this virtual because they do own they own WhatsApp. Oculus, yeah, the Oculus, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook, and I know they're trying to shoehorn into the video world.
Well, they've got some of the technology experiments out there with their 360 camera and some of that other stuff. Ultimately, if you're asking me, which nobody is, but I'll tell you anyway, I still think AR is the future, not VR.
Do they need to be mutually exclusive?
I think I don't, as entertaining as Ready Player One or Free Guy is, I just don't see that kind of stationary,
Immersion.
immobile, immersive environment the reality. I feel like, Pokemon Go is a hell of a lot more realistic for a future, because when you can miniaturize that to a point where you can put it in glasses like this, I can simultaneously be walking to my job, but also, stop in an AR tagged building that is for, my digital embassy at my digital country that I'm a citizen of, and do things there and do transactions there, and I can kind of go out and do real life. And if I'm meeting with people, I can just as easily go to my workplace or meet with a representative of whatever it is, other club or organization that I'm digitally a part of, because they've got a flag on their head that I see AR but nobody else sees. So that kind of in the world and of the world and kind of multi-world at the same time, I think is the real I don't know, real future, for the term is worth.
No, and I 100% see the logic in that. I see, putting on glasses, walking down the street, having an AI saying, "Oh, there's Logan. Today's his birthday. Say hello," or augmented reality ads that would pop up on walls, or specific coatings or things like that you'd be able to see only you. Or if you're running, maybe you'd have some sports goggles on, and you'd have a augmented reality trail, so you could like run through a path that it's not physically there, but you can it's been done. 100% see that. I'm going to counter with this.
Okay.
We are inherently lazy. That's all I'm going to say. And I can definitely see us putting away 5,000 calories a day with I'm going to reference the Cartman episode when he went into Oculus, and that's literally how I see America. Okay. I know I'm cynical when it comes to that. But I
will concede and agree with the point that AR and VR are not mutually exclusive. There will likely be overlap.
But here's the thing also. I mean,
there's no reason I couldn't see a totally AR person who's actually a VR avatar.
Absolutely. Wouldn't it be funny if you were in VR wearing AR eyeglasses in VR?
There's lots of Matrix down the rabbit hole things that we can talk about with this.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
AR VR. That's yes.
AR VR. Yeah.
But it's going to be an amazing future, whatever happens.
It is going to be something.
It's going to be something, and then some. Yeah. And since we're going into the Matrix, Ramon wants to be. I'll be Morpheus. There you go. See, I'll be Lawrence Fishburne. So good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.